All right, guys, good morning. Good morning, Canadian event planners and pros alike. Hello, hello. I said good morning, Canadian event, okay, all right, here we go. Just want to make sure the energy is still up. I know we've got a lot of fun stuff that's happening today. We're getting ready to go to the expo. We got a lot of really cool things to check out. I'm so excited that you guys are here to hang out with me for a few minutes. We're going to be talking all about how tech can help enable us to be better humans in our events. So I'm excited to do that. As you heard, I am a professional marketer by trade in the industry, also keynote speaker. I love doing this stuff in front of you guys, but more importantly, I love connecting people and helping them be a little bit more human in the way that they tackle their communications. My whole goal is to help people be more collaborative, innovative, and influential in the way that they tackle their events. So we're gonna dive right in today because we only have a short presentation before we get into our Gen Z panel, which I'll be moderating in a minute, so thanks for hanging out. So my first question for you guys is, when it comes to AI, what are you guys afraid of? Has Hollywood gotten it right? Is AI here to enslave us all and take over the world? Maybe, maybe not. But if we're thinking about our real fears, I want you guys to just take a moment and dig deep and go, hey, when AI kind of hit the scene a few years ago and it started being rapidly adopted in our industry, gosh, that was kind of scary, right? A lot of people thought it was coming for their jobs. A lot of people thought it was, again, going to take over the world. But what are you guys afraid of when it comes to using AI? Do me a favor real quick. Take your phones out, scan this QR code. I want to learn what you guys are afraid of. We've got job loss and irrelevance, lack of transparency, bias or misinformation, security threats, or if you're being completely honest, that it will take over the world. So go ahead and scan this QR code, select the one that is closest to your heart, and I'm curious to see how we feel about it up here in Canada. See, not sure if is it coming through for you guys? Is it getting? There we go. Okay, cool. Little delay. All right, so far we have bias or misinformation, job loss or relevance, security threats. At least some of you guys are being honest about it taking over the world. I love that. Yeah, it kind of is in a certain way. Lack of transparency. So I do this poll a lot, and when I do this presentation, and I usually get different groups of answers from different markets that I'm in and stuff like that. But it's really interesting that you guys think it's the biased information. One of the ones that I get most frequently as the top answer is job loss and irrelevance. But now we're kind of on the same page to see what worries you guys the most, at least in the room here. So really interesting seeing that it's a bias and misinformation. Now, you may be asking yourself, Tim, well, what are you afraid of when it comes to using AI? Thank you so much for thinking of me and asking that question. Well, for me, just like every other technological advancement that's happened over the past 20 years, my biggest fear is that the gap between us and our humanity is only going to continue to expand because of AI. Because of these tools that we become reliant on, we may forget how to be our true human selves, and that this space is only going to continue to widen and widen over time. And you see it. You see that almost daily. I was talking to an event planner a couple weeks ago. She told me that she uses AI to help her write every single email that she sends out to her customers. I'm getting a few nods. You do the same thing. Great. That's totally cool for it to help you do that. But I don't want you guys to forget how to write that email. If we become over-reliant on something, then eventually we might forget how to be our true human selves. And that, to me, is the biggest fear. Yes, bias and misinformation. Yes, maybe it'll take my job. But for me, it's all about this gap continuing to widen, displacing us from our true human traits and the way that we connect with people. Because that's honestly the business that we're in, right? Is the business of connection. So it comes down to perception. How do we look at AI? Do we look at it as this tool that we have to wrestle with, that we have to be afraid of, that we have to try to overcome and submit to our will? Maybe. But I like to look at it as, well, AI is like your new best friend. It's your new favorite coworker. It's your assistant. It's there to help you get more things done. And while that gap continues to widen, I actually see that as a big opportunity for us to be able to fill it in, doing the more human things that maybe we weren't able to do because of the tasks that we're caught up in. So I look at AI really as speed. It helps to speed up our processes, right? Since you guys have started applying AI and all of the great tools that I'm sure you've heard a lot of speakers talk about over the past couple years, I'm not getting into that today, because I'm assuming you guys know how to use ChatGPT. We know how to do that. But what it's doing is it is helping to accelerate our processes. And when our processes are accelerated, whether that be on the planning side, or the production side, the design side of our events, when we accelerate those things that we can offload our mind share on, it frees up the ability for us now to go back to having that human connection that is so valuable and so important in our industry. So I kind of look at it as like a can of Red Bull, right? It gives our event design, planning, production, all the things, it gives it wings. We've all seen those silly Red Bull commercials, right? Someone being chased by something, drinks a Red Bull, and now you're a superhero because of Red Bull. I've had my 3 already this morning, so I'm feeling really good up here. So it energizes you. It gives your event planning and your event production and design wings at the end of the day. But with great speed also comes great responsibility. I feel like a lot of people, when AI was first coming out, felt like they were behind the ball. Maybe some people were early adopters, but a lot of us felt like we were behind the ball, going, I don't know how to use this thing, but I feel like everybody's using these tools, and now there's so many, I can't keep up, but I want to try to apply this, I want to try to apply that, and oh my gosh, now I'm chasing it. I'm chasing this shiny object, and now I'm getting lost trying to do that, getting distracted by trying to do that. So I don't want you guys to chase the shiny object of AI either, because that will also take up your time and your mind energy and make you less human. So there's a fine line of balance that we need to do to be able to apply these tools to speed up those processes without also getting uberly distracted by them. Because at the end of the day, AI really is just the latest phase of mechanization that we've seen in our industry. Actually, we've seen mechanization across all industries, across all time, right? If we go way, 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 way back, we had the invention of the wheel, guys. The wheel. That was a disruptive invention. That was mechanization. Flash forward to the late 1960s when the ATM debuted in London, England. People freaked out. They freaked out when the ATM first debuted at a bank in London. They were like, oh my gosh, you're going to put cash dispensing machine on the exterior wall of the bank? That's crazy. That's going to lead to security risks, and all the tellers are going to lose their jobs. In fact, that didn't actually happen. Bank teller jobs actually grew at a faster clip than the general labor force because they were now able to focus more on the human experience of building relationships with the people coming into the bank. So again, it helps to kind of move it out of the way. So I look at AI as just the latest phase of mechanization. This isn't the last thing that you guys are going to see in your lifetime that is forever changing the way that we do processes. You're going to see something else too. Things will continue to evolve and to continue to change. Just think about all the ones that you've seen in your lifetime, from internet to social media to smartphones. I'm a millennial, so we had to adopt all those things as kids. I remember having to adopt all of that and apply that to my workflows. And so AI is doing that same thing, but it's just the latest phase. But what it exists to do is to accelerate our human potential. So again, that gap that's being created, we can fill that in now because we're offloading our processes, offloading our mind bandwidth onto AI to help us with things as our assistant. So now we can maybe pick up the phone. We can design more human-focused experiences at our events that we maybe didn't have time to do before. So I look at it as that key to unlocking our human potential. We've all been bogged down. This is not an easy business. I've been chatting with Jason and team here about doing this keynote and helping them get this event going and planning all of this content. It's not easy. You guys do the exact same thing. Imagine if you can offload some of those things to really unlock and put on a great show because you're utilizing AI to do that. So if you guys aren't already dabbling in a lot of the tools that exist out there, please do that. But again, don't get distracted by them. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you what the future is going to be or what that latest phase of mechanization is going to be. But what I can tell you guys is that if you're not already using AI or not already using some sort of AI tool, it's coming for you. It's coming for the tools and the processes that you already have. So even if you think, oh, I need to go get a new tool to try this thing, to create an image, to help me write this email, I got to download this app. Odds are the tools that you guys are already using have some sort of AI component built in, and if they're not, they will be soon. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just think about this Toyota commercial here real quick. This breaks it down, I think. They get the audio, though. So basically, he's asking, I'll narrate it since we don't have the audio. He's asking ChatGPT if a kilt is good for a formal event, and then asking ChatGPT in the car to then give him directions to a kilt store. And then at the end of the commercial, it says that the new Toyota comes with ChatGPT built right into the car. It's in your car now. So if it's not in your event planning and design tools, it's at least in your cars, guys. And there's one piece there at the end that the narrator says, and she says at the end, we're here to make technology feel more human. And I was like, I love that tagline. It's a baseline tagline that Toyota is using for their commercial, but I was like, this is a fantastic tagline for us in our events. Right? We need to utilize technology to make our events feel more human, not the other way around. And so we're jumping ahead here to this chart, this eye chart that is of all the technology solutions that you guys may or may not be using. Again, hashtag intentional eye chart, right? I'm not expecting you to read all these. That is a lot of tools that are in your toolkits, guys. So if your tools, again, don't already have some sort of AI component built in, they soon will. The challenge for you guys when you get back to work is to check and see. Maybe do a quick Google search, see if there's an AI tool or AI component built into the tools you already have. And if not, maybe you should be asking your account manager next time they ask you for renewal on these tools and say, hey, when are you guys going to be putting in some sort of generative AI component that I can utilize to help speed up my processes? Great question to ask them. So there's a lot to cover here. There's a lot of tools. I couldn't imagine you guys trying to sort through all of these things. And AI, pro tip, AI can actually help you find the best tool if you just ask ChatGPT that question. But most of these tools will eventually have some sort of AI component built right into them. So the question comes down to, how do we use AI but put our humans first? One of the things that I see a lot of people on the event planning side and the event marketing side, for that matter, doing is we're looking for technology and we're looking for tools to help us, and we go out and try to find them and add them to that big eye chart list that we have, but not knowing necessarily what the true human problem is that we're trying to solve. And so thinking about the human problem first and then coming up with the tool that will help solve that problem, as opposed to going, ChatGPT is awesome, this tool is awesome, we need to have this. And you go, well, why? Well, what actually is the problem that we're trying to solve? What is that human component that we're trying to touch and actually adhere to? And so the first thing I want you guys to think about is that your values, what you believe, is always going to be greater than your technology. Your events that you produce have a purpose, right? Hopefully you've written that purpose down. Hopefully you know why you're putting your event together. And there's a core reason, and everyone is bought into that and understands it. If you have that value locked in, then you go and you find the technology to support it, not the other way around. How many times have you guys been to events and you've gotten the mobile app and it's completely terrible, right? We're all shaking our heads, we've seen that. And they're like, well, it's really cool, we need to have a mobile app because we have to keep up with the other event. That's an expectation. But if you launch a mobile app that everyone uses and it sucks, it ruins, it actually makes the human experience worse for the attendee. It would have been better just for me to get a printed agenda. I know we have them all on our badges here. It would have been better just to have that than to have some sort of fail app, right? That's not putting our values ahead of our technology. That's putting our technology ahead of our values and ahead of our humans. So making sure that you have this constant orientation that your values and that human experience and your why, your purpose of your event is always first will help you to win in applying technology and applying AI to your workflows. So this is a really great definition of what I define as the human communication, the human experience within the event space. And that is building an emotional connection with our attendees and our sponsors that is helpful, authentic, respectful, and personal. And so those four things really stand out the most to me when, again, looking at my purpose, looking at my why, because that is what we're doing, right? We're trying to be helpful. There's a reason we do what we do. We're trying to be authentic. We want people to know who we really are, and people can really sniff it out if we're not being authentic. We want to be respectful of their time, their values, and of course, being personal. We want to make those connections. So really important pieces of this are to be helpful, authentic, respectful, and personal. And thinking about how to do that, I put my marketing hat on, my event marketing hat real quick, and I always think about two core things. And the first one is, what does our audience look like? And I'm not talking about your spreadsheet that has their name, their address, their sex, their date of birth, all of those things. I'm talking about those true psychographics, those things that really are the core drivers of why your attendee or your sponsor might be participating in your event. So I think of things like, do they have a family? Do they want one? Is their purpose to put food on the table for their family, and they're coming to your event to further their career to then be able to do that? What are their hobbies? Do they love catching big pipes of surf on Lake Erie in Lake Ontario? No, they don't, because we know there's no big waves on there. That was a joke. I know, that's Hawaii, okay? That's not the Great Lakes, okay? I'm from Chicago originally, so I know about Lake Michigan waves. They're a little itty bitty. What do they believe? You know, maybe not just religious, but what are their core beliefs, the things that actually drive them at the end of the day? And then lastly, what are their goals or aspirations? Do they want that corner office? Where will them attending your event help get them there? So I think about those kind of things. So think about the individual, because each person who attends your event, each person who sponsors your event is going to have their own unique set of this. Then the second thing is, how do they communicate? And we are in an interesting time, and we're going to talk about this in the panel in a minute, where 4 different generations are in the workforce at the exact same time. It's the first time that's ever happened in history, right? So, and everybody likes to communicate in a different way. Maybe that's over bite-sized videos. Maybe that's over email. Maybe that's over Snapchat. Maybe that's over handwritten letters or smoke signals, for crying out loud. I don't know what the boomers are into. They're crazy, okay? But not just that, but also the language that they use, right? Because we have different languages, different ways. Is it professional? Is it casual? Gen Z has their own vernacular that they use, and I have a Gen Z daughter. I'm still trying to catch up with her. Half the time she talks to me, I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I need like a Google Translator. So thinking about who they are and then how they like to communicate. So once we have that, then we can start thinking about how we can be more human in our events. And so the first thing that we want to do is figure out how we can delight our attendees and our sponsors. Who went to the opening event last night? Was that not a delightful event? That was pretty cool, right? We got there. It was a different kind of venue. We were first in one area, and then it opened up to a bigger party. We had singing, we had food, we had different stations, all different activations. We expect nothing less from this show, right? We were definitely delighted. So doing things like that to delight them, following the platinum rule. You guys know the golden rule? We were taught that in school, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated. That's the level up. That's knowing who your audience is and their desires and what's in their heart. If you can figure that out and follow the platinum rule, you're going to kill it. And then you want to market with true empathy, meeting people where they're at, understanding their unique needs, understanding that they may not be in the best life situation when they're coming to your event. How can we kind of uplift them? Or maybe they're having a fantastic day, so you want to try to meet their energy, meet them with empathy. And then freeing your time for that human connection, right? So AI is helping to do just that, which I think is really, really cool. You now have more time on your hands because you're using your AI assistant in whatever manner, whatever shape, whatever form, to allow you to then get back to the basics and actually figure out some of these key things in your communication plan. And then lastly is get them to a human. And what do I mean by that? How many times have you guys dealt with a chatbot where you're like, Agent. Can I just get an agent? Representative. Agent, representative, agent, agent! All the time, right? You hate that, don't you? And so we need to make sure we're using the technology to, again, offload maybe just basic questions and things like that. But if they want to get to a real person, we need to get them to a real person. Again, human first, we're solving a human problem. Here's a really cool example. Now, this video doesn't have any audio, so this one should work just fine. But this one is actually a conversation I had. This is from my phone. I was texting with the AI agent from Exhibitor Live. It was in San Antonio a few weeks ago. Actually, it was last month in March. And I was asking questions. I was like, hey, what should I wear? What time does the expo begin? And it was giving me all of these answers, and they trained their AI agent based off of what was in their agenda, what was all the information they wrote about the event. This was super cool. Like, I knew it was an AI agent. It was answering all my basic questions. It was solving a human problem for me. I needed to know about what to wear, when the expo happened, all those things. I could have asked it a million other questions too. But the key to that then is, boy, if my question just isn't getting answered, if I type agent, if I type representative, is it gonna connect me with a real person on the team? But I thought that was a really cool example that they did to help get me ready, get me prepped, make sure I had everything I need. And the best part is it texted me a couple days before the event even started. It said, hey, I am your, I can't remember what it called itself. They gave it some sort of name. I am your AI agent to help answer any questions you might have. Really, really cool. So that's a perfect example of how we're using technology, using AI to enable the human experience and the human connection. And so the bottom line and the thing that I want you guys to remember from this talk is that you're going to use AI, you're going to use technology to support that human first agenda. And the human first agenda always goes back to you guys just taking a step back, taking a consultative approach, looking at who your audience is, understanding what they want and what they desire. You're going to be at this conference the next couple days. You're going to go in the expo. You're going to see all of these great things and these great activations, and you're going to see all this cool stuff. And you might want to do them all at your next event. But I would encourage you to go, before you click buy on any of those, to go, does this make sense for my audience? Is this something that is going to solve a human-based problem for my audience, who is my attendees and my sponsors? If it does, great. If it doesn't, move on. That's how you would take a look at pretty much anything that you're looking to apply to your event, but especially when using AI and technology. So speaking of technology, grab your phones one more time. Scan this QR code. This is going to give you guys a copy of my book. I will shoot you an email during expo hours and let you know if you are the winner of the book. But I'll give you guys a signed copy. We'll take a photo. I'll find you later. And so with that, I want to say thank you guys so much. Hopefully you learned a little bit about how you can be more human in your events. Really appreciate it. Thank you.